I'm not very good in public speaking, but I'll give it a try anyway. My daughter is 11 years old and she has special needs. She has closed spinal bifida and global mental disorder and attention deficit disorder. And for 18 months she has been out of the education system because of this Fianna Green Party-led government. And I tried every school, and every school said to me that it couldn't take us because of government cutbacks. So I chose to go into and walk into the Green Party conference to speak to John Gormley, and their reaction was to throw me, and a special needs child, out of that conference. Shame on you, Mr. Gormley! Shame on you!
Mr. Gormley!
After that, I chose to go to the dial, and I threatened to go on hunger strike because I was getting nowhere. And I tried to walk into the dial to speak to Brian Cowan. I almost got in there,
but he was
but
eating lunch.
the guards turned around and took me off the grounds of Dial 11. A democratic parliament, they took me off that. Shame on you, Mr. Cowan.
Shame.
I know, yeah.
Won't talk to the people, won't listen to the people.
The most honourable thing that Brian Cowan can do this evening is announce his resignation.
Yeah!
Out, Mr. Gormley! Out, Brian Cowan! Out this government now! But that's not the end of the story. That's not the end of the story. She has got a school, she got into school, but also shows that protesting on the streets does work. Yes, she still hasn't got an occupation therapy, physiotherapy, but she's in school. Despite Brian Cowan, despite Mr. Gormley, despite Brian Lennon. Brian Lennon told us last December that we had turned the corner. He must be living in a fantasy land. You tell the people how lost their jobs since that speech was made in the dial that night, or that afternoon. And what I will say is, the guard this evening is blocking the gates once again. When we choose, whichever week that'll be Tuesday, whichever Tuesday that'll be, this week, next week, when we choose to walk through those guards will not stop us. But I also want to say the final last thing on this is that we show this government and show them guards that we can be human. And I would like to stand in solidarity with Dan McArthur's family this evening, and appreciate if everybody here could offer 1 minute silence and solidarity to that family, please. Thank you.
Right, this Saturday down in Wexford, there was 5,000 people marching to stop the closure of Wexford General Hospital. And Seamus O'Brien, one of the men who was part of the group who organised that protest, is going to get a bus or two full of people up from Wexford to come here for the march next week. And he wants to address the crowd because he thinks it's very important that if there's 5,000 people marching in Wexford, and there's 1,000 or so people marching in Dublin, and there's 1,000 people marching in Lifford and Donegal, well then it's about time we started coordinating those marches and try to get 10,000 people on the streets of Dublin. But because those people in there are off on holiday in about 3 weeks, I think we should try and make next week's protest here the biggest one we can before we attempt to coordinate later in the summer a national protest and try to get the numbers up to about 10,000, which I think would be an amazing achievement considering that this protest and these protests are being built by none of the so-called left parties like Labour and none of the union bureaucrats. It's only people like yourselves who are building these protests by leafleting in your communities, so give yourselves a round of applause. Anyway, our next speaker is